Hello and welcome back to another episode of the For the Property Investor podcast. And we're here with the weekly news. And of course, the only man that brings us the news is Nick Bendel. Hello, Nick.
Hello, Owen. Great to join you as always.
Thank you. Yes, and as always is always every week. So yes, that time of the week. It's but have you been doing anything interesting in this past week, Nick?
Interesting. Oh, you may have come to the wrong person. I'm not an interesting person.
Well,
That said,
we all know that, but interesting for you in your
in,
business.
okay, well, I have been quite productive in the past week.
Oh,
Uh,
okay. Well, I'll take that.
I'm happy with that. And one thing to mention, my business, for those who don't know, Hunter and Scribe, it's a copywriting agency that writes content for finance and property professionals. And we recently signed two new clients, both of them mortgage brokers who want us to write interesting, informative LinkedIn content for them on a regular basis.
Fantastic. And they certainly have come to the right person to do that. So your service is a great one. And it's this past week has been very busy for us in Leafield. And if no one knows who Leafield is, well, we are a national provider of property management services for the property investor. So we operate across 5 states, including New South Wales, Queensland, Victoria, WA, and SA. So yes, we've been very busy. It's been busy the whole year. You can hear it in my voice, can't you, Nick? It's like, wow. It's but no, I've been busy interviewing for the past week and had a new staff member start today. And we've got another one starting in a couple of weeks as well. So there you go.
Ah, you've been interviewing for staff rather than interviewing for a therapist.
Yes, no, not for a therapist. I might need one in a couple of months once it all calms down. But yeah, it's busy times, Nick. And yeah, when you're busy, you just keep on going.
You do indeed. And something I think might relax you a little, put you in an even better mood, would be maybe our three news stories today.
Oh yeah, that's right. We're here for the news. All right, let's hit me with it. What's in the news this week, Nick?
Well, we'll begin with landlords continue to control rental market. The national vacancy rate fell to 1.1% in February, compared to 1.2% the month before and 1.3% the year before, according to SQM research. On a city-by-city basis, vacancy rates range from 0.5% in Hobart to 1.6% in Melbourne. That tight rental market is reflected in PropTrack data, which found that rents rose in 85.8% of suburbs in the year to February. Yet rents also remained flat in 5.9% of suburbs and fell in 8.3%, showing that while each city's rental market as a whole favours landlords, there are pockets that are more tenant-friendly. Owen, keen to get your thoughts. As you mentioned earlier, your business, Leafield, it's a national property management business, so you've always got really good insights into the rental market. Louis Christopher from SQM Research said that while the rental market often tightens in February, quote, demand for rental housing is clearly continuing to outstrip available supply, and so this move goes beyond normal seasonality. So, Owen, do we just need to build more homes, or is there some other way to solve this rental problem?
Um, well, there is another way to solve it, but it might not be very palatable, and yes, it's most people would have a problem with it, but it's so I won't even talk about it. I don't know even why I brought it up, Nick. It's like because it would be quite disturbing. It'd be like a horror movie, but
Mention it, say it.
no, it'd be a massacre. But it's yes, there's only one way to fix this problem. Well, one good way is to build more homes. Um, unless we're going to stop the population from growing as quickly as it is, um, there's no other way but to build more homes. So, but yes, there is one other quick way of being able to help this demand and supply problem, It's to limit limit the amount of demand if there's not enough supply. So, but we've talked about this ad nauseum, Nick. Yeah, do we really need to talk about it again? It's like even I'm getting sick of it.
Well, what about another way to increase supply? Not just build more homes. What about if we increase negative gearing concessions to bring more investors into the market?
Yeah, yeah, nice. I see what you're doing there, Nick. It's just like, yeah, nice try though. And yes, that would help improve the rental market. But some would say that that would be um, uh, that would be a problem for helping first home buyers get into the market. So yes, it just depends on what the priority is for the government of the day, and which market they want to keep happy the most.
Well, we are going to talk tax reform in a few minutes, so let's put that to one side for now. I mentioned earlier the prop track data shows that while rents have increased in 85.8% of suburbs, they've remained flat or fallen in 14.2% of suburbs. Your property management business, Leafield, you're operating in 5 states and across a diverse range of markets. Are you seeing some suburbs, Owen, where tenants are desperate for accommodation, but other suburbs where landlords are desperate for tenants?
Oh yeah, absolutely. There are properties that struggle to get leased, and it's a real thing. So yeah, if and where we've had to reduce rents. So, and it's probably about on mark. Yeah, but I would have said sort of 15 to 20% of the properties, and yeah, so it's yeah, not a surprise.
You mentioned reducing rents for properties that struggle to get filled. Apart from that, are there any other buttons a property investor can push if they've got a property in an area with a high vacancy rate and they're struggling to get tenants?
Oh yeah, people try and come up with you know every little incentive they can to try and get a tenant secured. But at the end of the day, it comes down to price, price, and price. If you want to get it leased quickly, we've seen it too many times. We've had properties where have been sitting there for weeks and weeks on end, and without any traction, and the owner might be okay with adjusting by, $10 or $20, but it just hasn't made a difference when the market is a lot lower than where they are at. And so it needs to be, you need to have a drastic reduction of at least 10%, sometimes 20%.
Mm.
So yes, there are suburbs out there where rents can be falling by up to 20%, and you just need to look for them. They can be short-lived because there's just areas where there's a a high supply at that period of time, and so yeah, so it. But the problem is, a lot of people don't want to move from where their comfort zone is. They don't want to move from where they know, and yeah, but that's uh, a a limiting factor in their decision-making process.
It's written into my contract that I have to give you at least one opportunity each week to get on your soapbox, and that opportunity has just about arrived. We're going to move on to the next story. Teal MP proposes major tax reform. Independent Allegra Spender has unveiled her own tax reform white paper that she said was budget neutral and would make the tax system fairer and more effective. Consider someone earning $100,000 a year, she said, just over the median wage. Earned as a salary, you pay $23,000 in tax. Split through a family trust, you pay $13,000. Earn it as capital gain, you pay $7,000. And earn it from your super balance in retirement, you pay no tax at all, she said. The current tax system is exacerbating intergenerational inequity. Our tax system setting needs to be rebalanced towards effort and ingenuity. We cannot continue funding rising spending on health and aged care by placing a heavier burden on younger workers. Spender has proposed giving tax cuts for everyone by reducing the lowest marginal tax rate from 16 to 13% and reducing all the other tax rates by 2.5 percentage points. And to pay for those tax cuts, Spender would do four things: reduce the capital gains tax discount from 50 to 30%, ring-fence negative gearing so investment losses can only be offset against investment income, not wages and salaries, introduce a minimum tax rate of 27.5% on investment income to reduce incentives for income splitting, and align superannuation earnings thresholds more closely with income tax thresholds to create a more stable and principled system. I'm very keen to hear your thoughts. So Allegra Spender says the current tax system is unfair because, quote, the tax burden falls most heavily on younger people struggling to get established, who are likely also paying rent, saving for a deposit, raising children, and paying down help debts. Is she right or wrong?
Um, well, I don't think she's incorrect. I don't think she's wrong. But is she right in her alternative solution? Who knows? But I actually applaud her for coming up with a creative, different solution, which is better than what the current government is doing. They're not being creative at all. They're sitting on their hands, and occasionally when they pull one hand out, they just point the finger at the property investor and go, "Oh yeah, that's where the easy dollar is that we can get some more money from." Yeah, we got to be creative. We have to change it up a bit. And even though I might not agree with all of her points, some of them, yeah, definitely. And there'd probably be others that I would bring into it. So it's it's definitely 5 stars for creativity and for making an effort to actually be creative.
Okay, well, let's dig a little deeper. Allegra Spender wants to give everyone tax cuts in order to reward effort and ingenuity, and she wants to pay for those tax cuts by making investment concessions less generous. Is that a fair trade-off?
Um, it's one or the other. It's some would say that it's like, well, don't you want to reward people for actually investing in the country and investing in their own future, rather than just relying on income for their whole life, which means that at the end of their life, they're going to have to rely more on the government and whatever they've just put into super, which is naturally just grown. So it's a different take on the same solution. I would probably lean more towards people making an effort to save for their own future, invest in their own future, and actually do something towards that instead of just spending everything that they've got and trying to cut their expenses and being creative themselves rather than just relying on the government to be creative for them.
Hmm. What do you think of her idea to ring-fence negative gearing so that losses can only be offset against your investment income rather than your salary?
Um, it's an interesting one, and it comes up all the time. And but it's been done before where negative gearing benefits were taken off the table in terms of being able to uh, claim a loss against your other income. So, and it's what's done in most parts of the rest of the world as well. So it's not like it's a unique idea. But what would happen is as in other parts of the world, you would find that rents as a percentage of the value of the properties would go up.
Hmm.
You'd be looking at because you look at anywhere else in the Western world, you'd be looking at rents being equivalent to sort of 6, 7, or 8% of the value of the properties, which means for a typical Sydney property, it would be at a minimum doubling. And people are crying poor now with the amounts that rents have gone up. But if it was to double, because investors get out of the market and because there's not those benefits to be able to claim deductions against their salaried income, then that would cause a lot more problems than this would solve. That being said, though, there's not as many properties where investment property owners are getting those benefits of negative gearing. So I really think it's a mute idea. It's like it's not really going to cause or fix any problems. But those are the two sides of the coin that people will argue. But my personal opinion is the benefits don't really aren't really worth it to begin with.
Okay, so I've gotten the feeling from this discussion that you feel Allegra Spender would make a better treasurer than Jim Chalmers, and you would make a better treasurer than Allegra Spender.
Yes, I definitely have more creative ideas that would be, I think, would be more beneficial for the property market, but probably more broader based as well. But yes, what Allegra Spender has come up with is much, much better than our current treasurer,
who, of course, is a listener of the podcast.
Yes, well, so you keep saying, Nick, but he's doing it very secretly.
Now, speaking of a slight tangent, did you see that his boss ran onto a footy field on the weekend?
Yes. Wasn't he supposed to be getting arrested or getting a fine for that? And it's good to see that our Prime Minister can spend time going to a football game when most people are struggling to put fuel in their car or pay their rent or put food on the table.
Well, let's move on to the final story, and this is your opportunity to give Anthony Albanese and Jim Chalmers a big tick for their economic management. The story is economic growth heading in the right direction. The economy grew 2.6% during 2025 compared to 1.2% in 2024, according to the latest data from the Australian Bureau of Statistics. GDP per capita grew 0.9% last year compared to a contraction of 0.7% the year before. Productivity also grew by 1% compared to a decline of 1.2% the year before that. However, the CEO of Australian industry group Innes Willox warned that Australia's productivity remained stuck at 2019 levels. As growth gradually recovers, policymakers need to turn their attention to rebalancing the economy back toward productivity and the private sector, he said. Government stimulus may have been justifiable when growth was low, but it is now proving an obstacle to durable economic recovery. Rising government spending is contributing to our inflationary woes, shrinking real wages, while constraining the private sector's efforts to raise productivity. Nor is it fiscally sustainable given the widening structural pressures on state and federal budgets. So, Owen, this is your chance to give a big tick to Albanese and Chalmers. What do you make of those economic numbers from 2025?
Yes, well, it's been said there in that article that the books have been cooked. When you're importing demands in the way of immigration into the country, and then you employing tens of thousands of people through the public sector, which means the government, the taxpayer, is paying for these salaries. It causes a problem. it's inflating the economy, and it's not doing it out of productivity. Yeah, the economy is not growing because we're becoming more productive. It's growing because the government is borrowing more money to spend the future taxpayers' dollars on employing people now to prop up the economy. And it's that simple. And the the problem with that for the private sector is that they're competing with the government to employ people, which means it's pushing wages up across the board, and it's means that then the private sector needs to put prices up for the consumer. So it if that isn't basic enough for people to understand that that is what is driving inflation up, then yeah, I can't say it any simpler than Nick.
Hmm. So you've made the case that the government should be doing less spending and getting out of the way of the private sector. But let me throw something at you. Those economic numbers I told you about, they're the latest numbers, but they were for 2025. So they don't reflect anything that's happened in the Middle East over the past few weeks.
Mm.
And so that makes me wonder, oh, and now that global supply chains have been disrupted, is there a case to be made for the government to intervene in the economy in some way?
Well, when was the last time that we had supply chains interrupted? It wasn't that long ago. And what happened to the property market? What happened to yeah, and what did governments do then? They overstimulated the economy. Have we not learned even just from a few years ago? It's yes, we need to let the market take care of things, and because whenever the government gets involved, they either overcook it, undercook it, and it just turns into a mess. We're still trying to get over the mess that they put us through just a few short years ago. But they're still overcooking the books at the moment. And now with these issues that are going to cause supply chain issues and increase the supply chain costs, yes, it's likely to push up inflation even further. And I think we learnt from those years just a few short years ago, where the economy was overstimulated, that we're probably likely to see more interest rate rises rather than cuts.
There is a budget coming up in 2 months. I wouldn't be surprised if this turmoil was continuing, if the government was to give, I don't know, electricity rebates or some sort of handout as a result. All the while, the RBA, I guess, would be tightening monetary policy. So it might be a case of the government's kind of putting the foot on the accelerator while the RBA is putting the foot on the brake.
Yes, and if we've ever tried that while driving a car, we know what happens. Yeah, we might end up with a stalled economy, and we might end up with another Labor government saying those famous words of, "This is a recession that we just had to have."
We are recording this one day before the RBA's rate decision. Let's go on the record, the two of us. What is the RBA going to do with the cash rate?
I think it has to be an increase.
Okay, I also think it's an increase. And given that I'm wrong 95% of the time, I wouldn't be surprised if rates remain on hold. But we're guessing what is going to happen. As for what should happen, I believe they should raise the cash rate.
Yeah, we need to get ahead of the curve.
Well, Owen, thank you very much. I know that Michelle Bullock listens to this podcast, as well as Jim Chambers and Anthony Albanese. I don't know if Allegra Spender listens. I assume she does, but I can't say for certain. Hopefully, though, she does listen. If so, hello, Allegra. And Owen, I will see you next week.
Thank you, Nick. And yes, you always bring us the best news every week. So looking forward to seeing what's in the news next week. See you then.